Thanks, everybody, for coming. This session will talk about ADL.NET data services. I work in a team that builds technology to bridge data and the web and put it together. And then a number of other people at Microsoft work at changing the names of the things I build. So we just announced this morning, Scott told the story of how we are sort of aligning all the stacks. We're actually aligning the bits, but since we're aligning the bits, we're aligning the names as well. So this is the WCF data services. And some applause there. Well, that's great. Also, you probably heard another name a number of times during this conference. You heard OData, or the Open Data Protocol. And this is sort of an acknowledgement of the protocol taking a life of itself. And on one hand, we have our own implementation, servers and clients, but other people out there are creating servers and clients and different ways of using this. So we decided to give the protocol its own name. So you can think of the WCF data services as a framework to create endpoints, both ends, to use the system, and the OData protocol as sort of the thing to exchange data over the web. I'll build services later. For now, I have one already here, so I'll just run it. So this is a Open Data Protocol service. And when I hit the root of these services, what I get is what's called an Atom service document. A service document is literally the start of a graph that is all hyperlinked together. So you get this thing, and you get a set of collections that have a name, and I have a URL. If you look at this guy, it's an href. And the reason why it's short is because it's relative to the base that is up here. But effectively, it starts here, and then you can jump links. And as you jump links, you can navigate your entire resource set. In this case, this example is a product catalog. So I can go here and, for example, follow the link to products, which is kind of small, but this is the URL I'm hitting. And when it comes back, what I get is an Atom feed. And actually, let me do this real quick so I can show you a feed in feed form. And an Atom feed is a thing that has, the browser knows about, so it knows how to render it, and it has a title, it has a date, and it has or an updated date. It has some summary. In this case, since a product catalog, I put the price there. So it's a common, simple way of exchanging information. Now, let me change back. If you want to peek inside, we can actually look at the XML of this thing. And in this case, it's a feed of products. So what we get is a feed element, which is a sequence of entry elements. Each entry contains the data about the product, and there is a structured data. This is one of the parts that AtomPub really doesn't say anything about how to encode the structured data. It says the content goes here. So we chose a way of encoding structured data. It also has a URL. As I said before, every resource in the system has a URL that identifies it. So I can come here, copy that guy, or any one of them. I'll use a different ID. And you can ignore for now the URL syntax. I'll get back to that later. And this time, I got an entry back. I didn't get a feed because I'm addressing a particular resource. So as I talked about, this is doing gets, which is what the browser does. But of course, you can do put, post, and deletes to transform the state of the system. And I'll get into more details about that in a second. But I want to highlight one particular thing, which is low barrier of entry. The key to these systems to go well and to be effective is to keep the barrier of entry for interoperability as low as it gets. So as a client and as a server, you want to be as fancy as you can so people can get the most out of your data. But you don't want to require everybody else to be fancy. You want to require everybody else to do the minimum possible so you actually can get interoperability. And to drive this particular point home, let me give you one example. So SharePoint, we have web services. We have a bunch of options to code against SharePoint. But in the end, by creating this RESTful interface, we want to nail this point about low barrier of entry. So let me give you an example that probably highlights this the best. So I have my list of employees here. What I want to do now is I want to create a new employee. And what I'll do is I'll use a tool called curl. Curl is a command line HTTP client that actually is the Windows builds are actually weird. They are in some other random platforms. So it's as low of a barrier of entry as it gets because it's just a plain HTTP thing. So let's do that. So I'm going to go here, copy the URL for employees. And remember, employee has a full name and a job title. We'll do those two. So I'm going to say curl And I'll tell the system that it's secure with NTLM, so please log in with my current user. I'll add a header that is a content type header, and tell the system that I want JSON, which is the format I'm going to use. And then I'll give it a full name of demo, and a job title of SDE, which is Microsoft lingo for developer. I'll tell the system to do a post. And finally, I'll give it this as the URL I want to post to. So if I hit this guy, I get a replay from the server telling me what I did. And if I come back here and hit F5, I have a demo thing here. So as low as it gets as a barrier of entry. The other thing we did was projections. What projections means is you get to choose what parts you get to vertically slice the result set. So I can here say, for example, select full name, job title, and I get less data. And this actually works through expands. So you can expand, and then on each one of the expansion segments, you can narrow down the columns that you want. So you can paint exactly the graph you want and fetch that into the client in one go. And so the syntax in the URL is just select. The link translator is fully integrated with this. So you can now, on the client, just write select statements and project into an anonymous type or a custom type and get the right shape. And our materializer knows about this, so it's just a fancier link query. And we actually taught the link translator a lot of tricks that build on top of this. So now you're able to write a lot more queries than you were able to write the last version.